could be wrong. And that's a memo. Now for the top story reaction, joining us from Washington, Republican Congressman Trent Franks from Arizona and Ryan Zinke from Montana, both on the House Armed Services Committee. Mr. Zinke is a former Navy SEAL. So we'll begin with you, Congressman Zinke. How do you see it?
Well, it's not going to change the conversation, the bigger issue. We did negotiate with terrorists, and we released 5 Taliban terrorists. And we've done the same thing in Gitmo. We're releasing combatants. And I think the argument is more than just a sergeant. And I hope the Pentagon is telling the truth. But if they're not, I think heads are going to roll, because the Defense Department is the last institution that has any credibility. And they should either say no comment or tell the truth, and I think the American people deserve that.
All right. Now, Congressman Franks, you guys on the House Armed Services Committee can call in people and say, ask them pertinent questions. You interviewed Bergdahl back in August. You wrapped up your investigation in October. It's now almost February, and we don't know anything because General Milley is supposedly sitting on it. Why is he sitting on it? You guys could get them in to answer these questions, could you not?
I think the answer to that question is yes, and I think that that's the direction it is headed. The new chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Mac Thornberry, is the very first official act that I know of that he took was to call in all the experts on terrorism and say, how do we really approach this on a strategic level rather than this tactical level? I think he understands that the main thing that this Bergdahl swap actually did was to essentially replenish the leadership ranks of the Taliban. And we had the Secretary of Defense in to speak about this, and I will just suggest to you that this administration seems to just not understand that when they made this trade, they literally put heroes like Congressman Zinke and others at greater risk. They essentially explained to terrorists that if you take one of our people hostage, you can essentially get whatever you want. And
well,
we need to
we're
be sending a very different message.
We're seeing that today in Jordan with their captured airmen by ISIS. Now the Jordan government's going to trade a suicide bomber. However, I would do that trade because it's a war there, and it's a POW swap. And the Jordanian pilot was on a mission, and but Bergdahl is another story.
Yeah, that's a very, very different situation.
Yes, it's a different situation.
What Mr. Obama did was
I want everybody to know
it was unprecedented. What's
bothering me about this thing isn't Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl. I think public opinion understands what he did. I do believe that we all know what he did. But what's really dangerous, Congressman Zinke, is that if the White House is giving orders to the Pentagon about what to do in these situations, that's against our Constitution. The military is supposed to be apolitical and not running on a political basis. And you guys and Thornberry, have got to get to the bottom of this.
Well, I agree. And one of the first oaths you take as a congressman is to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And this president in particular has shown that he's willing to break the Constitution. If he doesn't like a law, he'll
But all
invent
that's
one.
debatable. I mean, this one, look, there is no rational reason at this point for General Milley to sit on this report. He knows what happened. Everybody knows what happened. You just have to define it. Are you going to get him for collaboration with the Taliban? No. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. Desertion in the highest level? No. They think they're going to try to get it down because they don't want the trial. They don't want an embarrassing trial, Congressman Zinke. That's what this is all about.
Well, and you brought a great point to the American people. I mean, you're very influential, and just by raising the issue, I think there's millions of Americans out there that want an answer, and I think Congress needs to move ahead and get one.
Particularly people who served honorably, because the charge is that Colonel Hunt, Fox News military analyst, says that 8 or 9 American soldiers were killed in the field of Afghanistan hunting for Bergdahl. That's big. And we can't get an exposition of the Army's investigation? Congressman Franks, it's outrageous.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. This administration's unwillingness to call something for what it is, I think, is why we've seen the rise of ISIS, the rise of Boko Haram, the resurgence of the Taliban, Iran inching closer to nuclear weapons, and our blood-bought gains completely evaporating in Iraq, because this administration simply will not call terrorism for what it is and engage it on a strategic basis. The next we'll be hearing is they will call drug dealers unlicensed pharmacists.
Whatever. There's a difference between policy and then intruding on the American armed forces for political reasons. And I hope you guys and your committee get involved quickly on this and start to bring these people in to testify. Gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate it. Next on the rundown.